Hello, mathematicians. Today we are going to talk about simple interest. Simple interest is the amount that you have to pay or that you earn for using money. Right? So if you take out a loan, you have to pay interest on it. Or if you have money in the bank, you get to earn interest on it. For our sake, principal is going to be the amount of money that we start with. The amount of money that we either have or the amount of money that we borrow. So the amount of money we start with. Our formula for simple interest is I equals P times R times T. I stands for interest. P stands for that principal I just talked about, the amount we start with. R stands for the percentage rate. We have to make sure our percentage is a decimal. And T stands for the time. And time is going to be in years. So I stands for interest. P is the principal, or how much you start with. R is the percentage rate. T is time in years. So we're going to find the interest for these two problems. We are investing $1,500 at 4% for 2 years. Let's figure out how much interest we earn. First, what is the formula for interest? I equals P times R times T. Let's plug some things in. How much money did we start with? That's P. 1,500 times my rate needs to be a decimal, so 4% needs to be 0.04 times T is in years. How many years? 2. Plug that information in for me. How much interest do we earn over this time? $120 earned on that investment. So we earn an extra $120. Let's take a look at the next one. Same problem, except our time is changing to 3 months. Now, our formula does not have a spot for months. It only has years. So 3 months is 3 out of, how many months in a year? 12. 3 divided by 12, 0.25. So we are using a quarter, or 0.25 of a year. Try this problem. Same information as number 1, but the time has changed to 0.25. Let's see how you did. What did we plug in for P? How much did we start with? 1,500. What was our rate? 0.04. And what was our time? Quarter of a year, or 0.25. When you enter that in, how much interest did this example earn? $15. Okay? It was such a short amount of time, you earned only $15. So use your formula. Interest equals the principal times the rate times the time in years. Let's try another one. Mary invested $1,050 at 4.6%. She earned $96.60 in interest. How many years? What's our formula for interest? Interest equals principal times rate times time. Plug stuff in. 1,050 goes in for which variable? the principal. That's what she starts with, 1,050. What does 4.6 go in as? Decimal, so 0.046. And which letter is that? R. Do we know the time? Nope. Equals the interest. Do I know the interest this time? Yes, the interest is 96.60. Let's figure out what this is. I can multiply those two values. Okay. Multiply those two together. And what do we get? 48.3 times t. So all I did was combine those two together. And I want to solve for t. What do I have to get rid of? What's with t? Times 48.3. How do you get rid of a times? Divide. What I do on one side, must do to the other. Top, divide, bottom. And how many years did Mary have this invested? 2. The time is 2 years. Okay. So plug things in. This time I had a variable that I had to solve for, so figure out what this is. Divide both sides to get the variable by itself. Mary would have invested this money for 2 years. Let's take a look at this last one. $30 is charged to a credit card with an 8% interest rate. If it is not paid at the end of the month, how much is owed? So if you use a credit card and you don't pay it off right away, you have to pay extra. That's where your interest charge is on. If you pay it right away, you just pay the amount you used. So what's our formula for interest? Interest equals principal times rate times time. So I have to figure out how much interest, what was our principal or our starting amount? I charged $30, so 30. Our rate, what's our interest rate? 8%. Change that to a decimal. Once, twice, 0.08. And time, how long in our time, what was our time? 1 month, at the end of the month, 1 month. But I can't put a 1 here because that would mean 1 year. So what goes here if it's 1 month? 1 out of 12 months. 1 out of 12. It's only 1 month out of 12. So $30 times our 8% times 1 out of 12 months. Go ahead and enter that in. How much interest would this earn? 0.2, which means 20 cents. Okay. So not only do I now have to pay the 20 cents, but I still have to pay the 30 that I started with. So I now would have, the question asked how much is owed. Well, I owe the $30 plus the 20 cents of interest. My bill now would be $30.20. So figure out how much extra in interest you'd owe. Add that on. We now would owe $30.20. Simple interest. Interest equals what you start with times the percent times our time in years. Nice job today, mathematicians.